been organized collaboratively between the Educators Network community and STEM Labs Africa. And on board, we have three presenters. We have Eliud Mautia. Eliud Mautia is an educator, a Kenyan educator currently in China. We have Tony Festus. Tony is currently in Tanzania. And we have Bill Clinton Chogo, is an educational leader in Kenya. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's start this conversation. We have going to handle different things, and we are hoping that it's going to be a very interactive session. You can ask questions and we can engage. Now, to start with, we are going to just a minute. Allow me to just put these things in order. All right. So we had a couple of agenda to just run. So we are going to talk on a range of issues. One is something to do with self-branding, and of course the issues to do with documentation, and that will be handled very well by one and only Tony Festus. It's also good to note that Tony Festus is a career coach. So if you have any issues in the area, the sphere of careers, you can always reach out to Tony and he can always support you. Bill Clinton is going to handle, is going to take us through the issues of recruitment sites and how you actually present yourself in those sites. Eliud will take us through matters on interviews, and of course there are many other concerns related to each of these. They're always intertwined, so none of this is existing in isolation. All right, so let me open the floor and welcome Tony, who is going to take us through self-branding. Tony, please take the stage.
Okay, thanks, Bwana Muhati. So I'm just going to share my screen and and take it off from there. I think I'm going to be a bit fast because of time. We are limited, so I know we'll handle the questions thereafter, not necessarily right now. So let me just look at my camera, then share my screen. Okay, great. And please, in case anyone has a question, please just if you could keep them towards the end of my presentation, then I'll really appreciate. Okay. I tend to believe I'm sharing my screen with all of you. Muhati, you can always confirm, please.
I'm here to see the presentations, Tony. Yes, I can see it now. We can now see the screen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I tend to believe that for you to think about international teaching, the most important thing is how do you present yourself to potential employers, to the people in your profession, to the people that you work with. And the whole of this idea is creating what we call a portfolio. Who are you to the people? And that's why I'm saying that you are a brand and you need to keep it so. So that's the first thing. So we have a portfolio, which is who you are as an individual, to yourself, to others, and the people in the profession. And we have some key elements that actually present that portfolio of viewers. One is your branding itself. So I've just avoided the word branding, but then I've put it under specific areas. Your presence on social media. I'll be talking about LinkedIn. I'll be talking about maybe Facebook. I'll also be talking about generally how you present yourself to others, be it in WhatsApp groups, Facebook forums, and all that. Then professional development and the documents that you require for you to be able to navigate the international teaching. Yeah. So the first thing is some of the documents that we might be required to have when you are preparing for the international teaching. These documents might not be exhaustive because it depends with the various schools. So you might see some things here that some schools might not ask. For those of us who are already out the country, some of them are not asked by some schools, but others are asked. So the main documents that you might require to have is an ATS compliant CV or resume. One thing that you guys have to note is that no big schools or big companies, really, no HR in those companies actually, it takes time to go through your CVs. They never do that. Or that's why they usually say that please send us your CV in PDF form. they are fed into the ATS, that is the applicant tracking system or software. This system is the one that actually pre-selects the candidates or does the shortlisting. And the whole idea about the ATS compliant CV is that you need to have the keywords, for example, that are in the job description that is sent to you when you're applying. So some keywords are the ones that are going to appear, and when you have them on your ATS compliant CV, then you are going to be shortlisted. So one very important thing is you need to know that companies no longer read the CVs nowadays. People don't read the CVs. It is a software, a system that does the shortlisting. So the whole idea is to try either to be in line or aligned to what the system requires of you, or to beat the system. That's the most important thing. Then, of course, your cover letter should also stand out. Your teaching philosophy statement, some schools will ask for that. An introductory video like what Eliud shared on the group. Some schools might ask you for what we call a motivational statement in place of a cover letter. Yeah. So this, to me, I look at them as the key things. Then to avoid talking about the ATS CV again, there's a document that Muhati sent to the group yesterday, and it got, basically it has everything that I was to talk about in terms of ATS compliant CV. But since we're here, I'll just take a minute or so to talk about what it is. So an ATS compliant CV is one that is focused on your achievements and not necessarily mentioning your roles. Most of the people who write CVs, they'll work on mentioning the roles, and they just sometimes take the job description and they just want to put it on the CV. No, it is what are your accomplishments? What have you achieved while working at that school? And that's why an ATS compliant CV, the first thing, it uses action verbs in the past tense. For example, led, worked, organized, collaborated. Those are action verbs that must start each of your bullet points, and it must be in the past tense because it's taken that you've already done it to give an achievement. The second bit is each of your bullet points on that CV, it must be quantified or qualified. Yeah, for example, maybe led a team of 20 members to achieve a 90% efficiency in unit planning, for example. That is like. So the whole of that point, it captures, could you kindly mute kindly? Thank you. So the whole of that point captures an action verb at the beginning. It captures the number of people, that is the quantity, and also it captures how effective you are and the results. So it is always the action verb, then the quantities in terms of either the results or the number of people you are serving or you are leading and such a kind of things. So always think in terms of that. An ATS compliant CV, so that I wanted us to go through one here quickly. I'm using my own CV or somebody else's CV, two quick ones. So for example, if you have to look at the one that I'm sharing over here, remember that it begins with the name, then the contacts and the email, then your LinkedIn is very key, yeah, because employers nowadays are focused more on your LinkedIn. That's why you have to add your LinkedIn there. Then this one I'm just mentioning, for example, who am I as an individual? I am a teacher of English, language and literature. I've been a coordinator. I've been, all these things. Some of these keywords that you see beneath that line about IB English, these are some of the keywords that as an educator in international school, you are kind of required to do. For example, child safeguarding, you need to know something about it. Mentorship, you need to know. Assessment, co-curricular activities. So these are just key things that I usually put them there, because basically when you're sending it to an ATS system, it's going to pick out these things to show that you're an educator. Then your professional profile, you mention something about who you are, how many years you've been teaching, and the things you've actually done in those 3 years. But to me, I always like ending my last one with thrives in multicultural settings and has posted stellar grades, because international schools are looking for somebody who can be able to fit in a diverse cultural kind of setting, and you should be able to talk about it. But then what is the most important thing? For example, to me, I feel like the whole child approach and the constructivist approach to me are key. Now, these are just, I would like us to focus on this part here. So this is, for example, a teacher who teaches at the King's College Academy, an example. So what I was talking about is the whole idea, you see, the whole of this bullet point that I've highlighted, oversaw program and project management. And of course, I added some more. It's supposed to be less, maybe 1 or 2 lines maximum. But then you see the numbers in there. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Then if you are saying that you taught, for example, in a school, what did you teach? You taught a specific subject leading to an achievement of 100% pass rate when you mention the years, for example. So you must always quantify. Then something that I need to mention about this, then I can move to the next one, is these bullet points at your work, for example, they should not be more than 6 in the first where you are currently. You have a maximum of 6. This other one should be a maximum of 4, then 3. They keep reducing as you go down to maybe your very first job that you ever had. So that is something to note. I always add something on my CV called other professional experiences and engagements. What else do I do? Of course, I've removed 2 of them here. They might not be relevant here. For example, I'm an examiner at Cambridge, I'm an examiner at the IB, and still you see that there are numbers there. I'm quantifying and kind of qualifying what I do. My education background, you need to mention the specific ones. Then thereabout, you also need to talk about continuous professional development or professional development. This is some of the things that you have. Skills and other information. You realize that most of the skills already captured them somewhere at the top. So here I'm just mentioning a few of others that I think are relevant to this specific job and as per what they have asked. Then the languages I'm proficient in and something about driving license, I'm going to talk about it later on. Extracurricular offering. Schools want somebody who is well-rounded, who is able to work both in class and outside the class. So some of the things that I do. If you are very keen, you should have noted that this CV is only 2 pages, only, because nobody wants to go through a CV that is 3 pages and beyond. Yeah, we don't do that. CVs should be maximum 2 pages. So somebody asks, what if I've worked for 15 years and all that? You need to reduce that one to be focused on the achievements, focus on what you achieved. And that is what the recruiters are looking for. Something to mention here, then I can move on quickly. Now, remember that there is no, here we are focusing on your contact, your phone number, and your email, because international schools are not looking forward to sending you a letter in your post office. So it should be your name, it should be your contact, your phone number, and it should be your email and your LinkedIn profile URL. That is the most important thing when you're talking about an ATS CV plus any other things. Now, I also wanted to show you another one from Teacher Horizons. The job I have currently, I got it through Teacher Horizons. They sent me this CV to look at. So this one I'm going to post in the group. Whatever I have there has a mix of this and other things beyond this, but it's the same kind of format that you're looking at. One key thing you have to note is, so please don't add, marriage, sex, whatever, religion, all those things are not necessary in a modern CV. Moving on to the next thing, please, Muhati, you keep me in check. I'm not so good at time. Yeah, so let me just carry on quickly here. The cover letter was sent. We'll have a look at it. Teaching philosophy. This one, maybe I sent a copy letter in the group, not here. An introductory video, I think Elliot sent it out. It's not more than 1 minute or so, and you're just mentioning who you are, your educational background, and the ability to fit in an international space. Motivational statements, sometimes they ask you, tell us why you need to come and work with us or in this specific school. That one means you need to do some research. Then the key documents for employment. In most cases, these are the things you send out when you're applying, the ones on my left-hand side, the main documents. The key documents are everything else on the right. You need to have a passport. You need to have a police clearance, and most schools ask not more than 6 months old. Some ask not more than 3 months old. And this is something, for example, right now is the high season for international job schools, application, right? This is the right time for you to begin looking for that elusive police clearance certificate, which takes ages to come out sometimes. Start looking for it now. You need to have your degree certificate. You need to have your transcripts, certificate of service from previous employer. Some schools will ask, others will not ask. But it's important that every time you leave an employer, you get your certificate from them. You need to have your TSA certificate. Some schools will ask for teaching license. It's the same thing. Some schools will ask for a certified medical report. Yeah. And they might even give specific hospitals to go to. So this one is also very important. Marriage certificate, birth certificate for the children, it depends with the country. Yeah, if you're going, the reason why they ask for this one is because they need to put you on a medical cover, for example. Valid driving license. There's some countries, this is something that sometimes overlook, but I came to realize that out here it's a big thing. They expect you to already like to know how to drive, whether you own a car or not, just at least have the skill and have the driving license, so that some schools want to give you a car, they also want to get you a car and the likes. IT training, evidence of ability to use the IT. I mean, this one, you might have some certificates or not, but it's important. Something for me to mention here is all these documents must be certified. That means the police clearance, all these certificates, they need to go through the certification process. That is through the means, for example, TSA, if it's the certificate, then a means of education, that is for education documents, then you take them to the foreign affairs. And after that, it depends with the embassy if they need an authorization from a lawyer or so. So that is all about documentation for now. I want to leave it at that. Are you aware that some companies do, associating the name, do some biodata research on you before you even go for that interview? They will check your Facebook accounts. They will check, they just key in your name in the systems and try to get some more data about you. So they might actually go into your Facebook and get some stuff about you, LinkedIn, wherever. So your digital footprint is very important. Who are you to the world? What do you project to the world about yourself? And that's why whatever you post is important. I mean, what are you posting? How are you commenting on other people's posts and the likes? So we talk about LinkedIn first of all. To me, your LinkedIn profile is your connection to potential employers, and you need to optimize it. And that's why I've put everything here. These are things I do for pay, but I've said I'm putting everything here so that you just have a look at what do I do. If I tell you I'm doing LinkedIn profile optimization, first thing is I do a profile, your profile photo. You must have a professional headshot. You must have a headline. This one captures who you are, a summary of who you are. The work that you do. Background photo. We'll give an example of that. It should be something short describing, maybe you are teaching something about your teaching and all that. Summary of the things you do and who you are. Experience. These are the jobs where you've been to, but it also lists the things you achieved. It's more like a summarized CV, yeah? Then your education, skills, and endorsements. These ones, maybe I'll be able to show you an example using my own. Recommendations. This is something very important. When we talk about recommendations, you have colleagues you work with in your school or you've worked with before. You have some of the line managers who've worked with you. You have got some supervisors who've worked with you, and they're on LinkedIn. Ask them for recommendations. Yeah, if you have to go to my profile, you'll see about 4 or so people have recommended me. Yeah, just talk to them. They write for you recommendations, because recruiters, when they're going through your profile, they'll be looking at, have you worked with people and what do they say about you? You might have some publications you've made, some certifications and courses. This is now where professional development comes in. How many certificates have you acquired on TES, be it IB, be it Cambridge, be it even the TSC, the TPAD ones and the likes? Do you have them? Have you ever volunteered? Some schools are key about knowing your engagement with the community. Languages, which languages do you speak and what's your proficiency level? Yeah, you need to include there. Interests, not really a must, but then accomplishments. What have you accomplished in your career so far? Maybe you had students who passed, like you had an IGCSE class or Form 4 class that passed, everybody passed, and you had 100% pass rate. You include all that kind of information. Your contact information is basically, you need to have an email, you need an up-to-date email, you need to have your contact, sometimes phone number, but it's not a must, but most importantly is your email. You need to customize your URL so that it has linkedin.something then /Tony Festus, for example. That is mine. So you don't just leave it with those so many codes. You need to work on it. Engaging with content. There are schools that post things there. Do you ever comment on them? Do you ever go there? Do you ever see somebody who has posted something within the teaching profession and you've commented? You need to comment. You need to post something so that people can see that you're active over there. Then the network, in terms of when I talk about networking, is you see people in the same profession. Why can't you send them a connection request? You need to have as many people connected with you so that your profile stands out. The more people you are connected with, the more your profile stands out. Staying active means you post something. I'm not saying you post every day the same way you post on TikTok, but maybe on LinkedIn you can do a post a week or in 2 weeks time, but just keep it active. Let people know that. Follow company pages, that is, for example, schools. Follow as many schools, as many education sector related companies as possible, and keep checking what they do and commenting on them. Engage in groups. We also have some groups on LinkedIn. For example, I think I'm in two. One is for the heads of schools, another one I think is for professional development, and the next of I'm in not even two. I think I'm in four also. But you need to be in such a kind of groups. And when you're talking about job preferences, I think I'm talking about when you are looking for a job, make the world know that you are looking for that job. Have the open to work. Have that open to work. What do we call it? I'm forgetting the name. Yeah, but have it active on your LinkedIn profile. Next thing, Bwana Muhati, I think you'll add me a few minutes, but then I think I'm about to get there. Package yourself through first impressions. Now, this is the whole idea about your social media usage. And I said, some companies, the same way they are passing your CV through an ATS software, is the same way they're also trying to do background checks on you by trying to mine some data about you online and how you've been behaving online. So some of us have email addresses that are very funny sometimes to read. Somebody says, superfreshy@gmail.com, something of the sort. I mean, definitely that's not something professional. Your email should always have your name. Maybe it might have the numbers. It could be maybe Tony94 @gmail or something of the sort. But the idea of having names that are more like nicknames and those funny names, basically it definitely plays a key role in getting you not shortlisted. Don't ever use your current work email for job applications. For example, you're in a school like mine where you have a work email. That is for work. That is specifically for that school. Use your personal mail. Having an email signature at the end of it is always good. A professional email signature. What it means is, for example, Tony Festas, IB English educator, maybe something of the sort, and my contact over there. That is an email signature. Be professional when writing emails. Sometimes you see somebody writes an email, for example, application for mathematics teaching role at your school. Then, dear sir, then the next line is, please find attached my application and regards. That's it. Yeah. That is not an email. Yeah. We need to have a subject line. We need to have dear sir or dear so, the person you're sending to, but then state who you are and that you saw this job from somewhere and you are applying, and then you tell them to see your application, something of the sort. Now, the idea of just sending emails without a subject line, without, you're just sending the document there, you're just pasting it there, that one always comes out as being rude. Yeah, today, and you're not serious in your employment. In your search for employment. And number two, the same thing applies to when you're writing somebody a message. I think we've talked about this one, and sometimes it comes out sometimes as if we are rude, but having been in this, job search for some time, it's important that I say that even if you see a message on WhatsApp and somebody says they're looking for, please package yourself. Say, dear so and so. And I think the people I've ever texted who've posted something, they always know that I say, hi, so and so, I am so and so. I saw this post on WhatsApp about this and this. Could you maybe tell me if this is still available so I can make an application? Or something like, I will wish to be considered for this job or something like this. Then you end with regards or thanks, then you with your name. It really doesn't hurt to just send that short message to someone. It also shows that indeed you really mind, you are really mindful of others, and that you really like packaging yourself. So I think if we can end that conversation about please let's think about others and what and such what they're going through, it's important to package yourself despite the situation you are in. Netiquette. Sometimes our students follow us on Facebook, parents follow us on Facebook, they are our friends and the likes, and sometimes they can just search us and find us. What are you posting on Facebook? What are you posting on TikTok? What are you posting on Instagram? And even your WhatsApp status, some of your parents have it. Yeah. I mean, for example, if I want to post something personal, I always have my 2 numbers. There is one that I use with maybe, and then there is one for personal, whatever. If it's something that I don't want others to see, then you need to ensure. But that's the whole idea about what are you posting. If you find that you are even thinking of, I need to hide this from other people, then that is something wrong for a teacher in this profession. Have your real names on Facebook. The same thing applies with the emails when I said, please think about your names on Facebook. But most importantly, what do you post? Yeah. And how do you comment on others? The language you use is very important. I think we've had some stories about people who are denied visas to go to the US because of their posts on Facebook and their comments on Facebook and some of the topics they talk about. I don't want to go into that conversation now, but think about it, and I want to leave it at that. Now, I think I wanted to end it with professional development. I think part of branding is the courses you've undertaken. Sometimes we talk about costs. Yes, they might be costly. I'm one person who believes in use money to get money. That has always been my slogan. Yeah, use money to get money. I might not have the money, but I will use that money to get the money I want. For you to be able to move from one job to the other, in most cases, it's always something extra on your CV and your brand that gets you to the next level. I once worked somewhere and the school was not paying for professional development courses, but then I realized I needed a specific certificate for me to move from that job to the next job. And I paid for it. It was a bit expensive. I paid, studied, and it paid off. I need to give you a caution. I'm not saying that when you train, you'll get a job. I need to be very clear with that. Sometimes it can take time. Sometimes that certificate might not help you, but it's important that you have it. So some of these courses are offered by the British Council for English teachers, for example, Educare by TESS, IAPS, for example, some by Cambridge, yeah, others by IB, Science Station, among many, many others that you know of. So maybe having undertaken one of these courses might give you an upper hand to someone else who hasn't. Yeah, sometimes it's not about, it might be experience, but sometimes it's about what else do you bring to the table? Yeah, is it just experience? No, it's about, have you even trained in this course you want to offer or what you want to teach in our school? So for example, as a beginner, you want to get into IGCSE, A levels and the likes. If you are to go to Cambridge and do an introductory course, it might be really helpful to you. Then after that, you can do extension. International Baccalaureate, the IB category 1, it's what most schools are always looking for. Do you even have a category 1? Yeah, something of the sort. Those of us who are aspiring to be leaders in schools, for example, you are an IB educator and you want to be a leader in the school. For example, you want to be an MYP coordinator, you want to be a DP coordinator, and so on. You have the 5 years experience or so, yes. But what else makes you stand out if you go to that interview panel? You might consider leading the learning, either the MYP or the DP, the role of a coordinator, etc. You've been a deputy head in your school and you want to be a head of school, or maybe you've been a senior leader in your school and you want to go into. If you are to do an NPQH, that is the National Professional Qualification for Headship, offered in England, but online, of course, then this one might really help you climb the ladder easily in international schools, among many, many others. So with that, I think I want to stop there. I think I have covered a few things with a few examples. It's something so big that cannot be exhausted in a few minutes, but then we can always look at the questions thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Festus, for sharing a wealth of knowledge on, on on a range of issues to do with branding. One of the things you've actually told us a lot about the documents, and I would actually want to just add a few things when it comes to preparing for documentation, because it's really important that if you really want to be an international educator, first of all, the journey starts with the level to which you have actually prepared yourself. The thing is, let's start with the basics. Number one, do you have a Kenyan passport? Or it's called the East African passport. So the thing is, a school might want to engage you in, with a contract, and usually the first things they ask, do you have a valid passport? It will actually be a mess, yeah, or a big shame when you have actually qualified for the job, but the thing is, you are not ready to offer your services to them. That then means that the next available person who is equally qualified will take up the job instead of you, taking up that opportunity. Have the passport ready, and of course, the yellow fever vaccine. The problem comes when you're trying to chase up these things at the last minute. It is expensive. It's tiring. It is money guzzling, and it's not fun at all. So you can start putting together the documents. Sometimes there's a cost to incur when you're putting together the documents, but it's worth it in the long run. Perfect. Now, at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to welcome Bill Clinton to also now take us through the different sites. Where do we get these jobs, and how do we get to learn about these jobs, and so what next about the jobs? All right, Bill Clinton, now it's the opportunity for you to share wisdom. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Meanwhile, you can share my presentation, Mr. Muhati. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this session. I'll be taking us through relevant sites or specific sites we can use to look for jobs or search for jobs. And it's very important at this point to realize that online platforms are there. And it's just a matter of you using your phone. You could use your laptop, and you are there. So it's not a matter of you have to maybe go there physically. Sometimes you may go there physically, but online platforms have made all this work clear. I'll want Mr. Muhati to go directly to the slide that talks about the various recruitment sites that I came up with. They are not exhaustive, and I've posted a screenshot in the chat. Those are just examples of some of the recruitment sites we have. In the next 30 seconds, I want you to analyze that list and anything that is missing, anything you feel it's a recruitment site and it's missing on that list. I want you to take the next 30 seconds, post it on the chat. As I said, the list there, it's not exhaustive, but we have many other sites. So in 30 seconds, let me see what is there and what is not there. So post what is not on my list in the chat section. I want to go through 2 or 3, then I start my presentation. So my presentation will be based on just generally how does Teacher Horizon work? How does such associates work? And if it's your first time coming across these sites, then you need to have them at this point and go again after this, find out what are they having for you as an individual. So let me check the chat area. No one has posted there yet. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Bill. Sorry for interrupting. May I request, if you're not amongst the main speakers, kindly mute your video because it is interfering with the, we are actually recording this session. So Winnie, kindly mute to your video. Just shut your video, and we'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm waiting to read some of the recruitment sites members could be knowing that are not projected there. Okay, Daniel Tulula has talked about Dpoint. Dpoint is another exciting and great recruitment site. So you may write it down and explore further. Any other in 10 seconds? So Dpoint, kindly find out more on that. And what we are doing is just sharing the information. It starts with we as individuals to go now. We have bundles. What do we do on social media? What do we do on Google? Let's try search for these platforms. And they have Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts, LinkedIn accounts, websites. It's our role to go there, find out, explore, register, log in, and find out how we can benefit on this. Sabina talks about Career Clouds, another exciting recruitment site. So allow me to go through some of these sites. What I'm going to take us through is just to look at how do they operate. Are they requiring you to pay some amount? And as you can see on your screen, Search Associates and Scroll, you have to pay some amount. For Search Associates, 33,000 Kenyan shillings, Scroll about 7,000 Kenyan shillings. It may appear expensive, but in the long run, it's very important. For example, Search Associates has been there for more than 33 years. And what it does, it works with or collaborates with specific schools, schools that have registered through that platform. And they consider candidates who already are registered because there's a whole vetting process that you have to go through for you to have a very active Search Associate or even the Scroll account. And what happens here is now you're even projected or they match you with specific jobs that fit your skills. So it's important for us to explore these skills. Personally, I know many friends of mine who have benefited from Search Associates and Scroll. If we look at Teacher Horizon on your screen, it's free. What you do is create your account. That's Teacher Horizon and the International School Services. Let me combine the two. It's free. What you do is create your account. Looking at what Tony Festas has presented, your CV, your portfolio, upload there, create your account, and they will match you again with specific jobs. For Teacher Horizon, they will provide you with a career advisor. And this is someone who will walk you through maybe an application you made. They will guide you on the requirements. They may help you on even how to approach the interviews. And finally, to the last point of recruitment. And someone will ask, and this is a question I was asking myself sometimes back because I am active also on Teacher Horizon. I asked one of the advisors, how do they earn their money? Is it something they do for free? And this was the response. What they do is they connect you to that job for free. And once that is done, the schools have partnered with them. The schools will pay them for getting the correct or the right candidate. So it's you to present yourself with all the documentation, with all your skills. You have a job. And once that is done, the schools will pay them. And some of them do this for charity, among others. The other exciting one is Test Jobs or test.com. Most of us are active on TESS, and it's one of the largest selection in terms of academic, in terms of teaching support, in terms of leadership positions across the world. And it has, it's free, of course, and also efficient. And most schools, you go to a website of a given school, and they do not advertise their jobs or vacancies. What they do, they direct you to opportunities they've advertised through TESS Jobs or test.com. And one exciting thing about TESS, it also has a Google app. Yes, an app. And for me personally, what I've done previously is you go to that app. I just click on my phone. I go to the app. I already have my details there. Any recruiter can see that. What you do, you've spotted a quality job that you wish to explore. You just click quick apply, and you've applied for that role, because all your details from the beginning to the end are all uploaded there. It may be challenging for you to upload all those details because they want to know whether you have a family, your experience, all that information. It may be challenging. So what I've advised many of my friends is do not fill in those details like today and that is done. You may make mistakes. So prioritize maybe 30 minutes for today. You want to update a given section. Tomorrow, by the end of the week or 2 weeks, you are done. Everything is done and you are ready to be spotted. I want to combine FACES and TPG and also participate learning. Those three, FACES, TPG, cultural exchange, and participate learning, most of these, or the three, will mostly connect candidates to the US. So schools in the US have partnered with these three recruitment sites. And what happens is, again, upload your details, show your interest, and you will be spotted. And of course, their role, from what you see, cultural exchange, it's mostly also for educators to experience culture outside their country. So you will go there, grow in terms of your experience, grow your cultural experiences, and mostly they work with teachers in mathematics, I think science, Spanish, the languages, elementary teachers. I know a few elementary teachers from Kenya who have gone there through FACES, special education teachers. That's an area you may need to explore. Of course, you will be paid. Apart from it being a cultural experience or a cultural exchange program, you will be paid for the time you are in the US. And I think mostly, Carolina, the states of Carolina, among others. Quickly, let's look at the Teacher International Consultancy, that is the TIC. This is another exciting career or recruitment sites. Existed for more than 25 years. They also collaborate with many other international schools, just like such associates among the ones I've already mentioned. What happens with the TIC, the Teacher International Consultancy? They're also members of other international schools organizations, both in Africa and outside Africa, an organization like the COBIS. They partner very well with the TIC, and for them, the application is completely free. The placement is also completely free, but there's a way they benefit, but it's not directly from you, but directly from the school that has that wants you or wants your services, you as a teacher. We also have TeacherWay. I may not really talk much about it. There's one of us who will share the experience on how TeacherWay enable them to explore opportunities outside the country. And for this platform, again, has existed for many years, more than 20 years. It has leading schools or recruiters within that platform. It also offers professional development in collaboration with different universities like University of Toronto. I also realized we have the Columbia University also partnering with TeacherWay. So what you do is create an account with them, and you share your details, and they also match you with the specific jobs. And the beauty about this is in your email, you will always receive updates, maybe on a daily basis, that school X in this country requires a teacher of mathematics or requires a teacher of maybe chemistry or whichever area you are specializing in. Lastly, school websites. I find most of us do not really explore school websites that much. what you need, what you want, the job you need. Always, most schools will post it in their website. Sometimes there are social media sites, and these could be Facebook, these could be LinkedIn, these could be their Instagram page. So any school you're interested in, any activity or area you want to maybe explore, school websites, you will find them. Finally, Festus has talked about LinkedIn, and I may not repeat a lot about LinkedIn. It's a professional site. You may not compare it with Facebook, among others. Connect with leaders, connect with educators, and that's where a leader will post maybe an opportunity in their school. School X, we need a teacher of biology. And that's when you could even inbox them directly, show your interest, and that's how you are near that opportunity. The last tip about this, I think there's one called Indeed. You may also want to explore Indeed. The last tip, it's all about we thinking outside the box. We have all the resources with us. How do we go to the next level? And as you do that, proofread your documents, provide relevant references, because sometimes we provide referees on our CVs and the referees don't really match maybe our experience. So I'm sure if you provide maybe a school principal or a referee like your HOD, the academic coordinator, those will stand out. But if you provide a referee like maybe just a colleague who doesn't have any maybe leadership role within or responsibility within that school, schools may view you different. And these are people who will support you to grow to the next level. Referees will be contacted, so you also have to talk to them. Bill, I would like you to be my referee, and maybe provide me with your email, your role, and all that, so that as you detail your CV based on the references part, you already have more information about who is your referee on your CV, because the referee may give you that job or may deny you that job based on different activities. So we appreciate your presence here. It's good to interact. It's good to share such great experiences. It's good to understand how to use different sites and how to brand ourselves going forward. And you are near the opportunity you want. Thank you so much. If we have other questions at the end of the session. Asante sana, back to you, Mr. Muhati.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Bill Greso, for sharing wisdom in relation to the different sites and programs where we can access jobs and apply. It's good. Now we are coming from an area where we've built an understanding of how do we brand ourselves and prepare ourselves in terms of the documentation and all that process. It's now the moment, the golden moment, to now get to understand how then do we prepare for interviews, because it's one thing to have all those documents, it's one thing to get to know about the existence of all those sites, but again, how then do you also brand yourself and prepare well for those interviews? At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, Eliud Mautia is an expert who has got a wealth of experience in interviews. He has attended almost 1 million interviews on the planet. And based on that expertise and experience, Eliud is going to share wisdom directly from the horse's mouth. Thank you. Eliud, it's your moment.
Thank you, Dr. Muhati, for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to see many people on board, and we appreciate your time and the opportunity to join us. You've done your branding, you've done your ATS compliant resume, and now you are preparing for an interview. I'm trying to share my screen. Kindly give me a minute or so. Let me know if you can be able to see my screen. Muhati can always confirm.
Not yet.
I'm yet to see. Maybe I can give it a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is it, are you able to see it from your end now?
Yes, now we're able to see the presentation.
Okay. So as I earlier said, you've done your branding very well. You've gone to those websites and uploaded your details. Now you've landed a job and you're required now to attend an interview. An interview can be conducted either face-to-face or you can do it online. I'll dwell more on face-to-face because online interviews are a bit easy to go through. But face-to-face interviews are very demanding and you need proper preparations for it. All right, my name is Elliot. And,
150. 150.
Dominic, kindly mute your mic. All right, before the interview, what do you do? The most important thing is that you need to do your thorough background check. Let me try and unpack this so that you can be able to understand what it means to do a background check. Kindly ensure that you can research very well on the institution and the position that you're applying for. Get to know what the school stands for, get to know what they do for you to be able to fit in that given position. Research on their LinkedIn page, get to network with contacts of the people that are in that school, get to understand how the school is generally, and more particularly on the position that you're applying to. Be prepared to give specific examples from your experience that matches the job description. For example, if you're applying for a mathematics role, you may choose to avoid things that are not related to mathematics so that you can put your chance very high to getting this job. Ensure that you have specific examples that are related to the experience that you've had and the job experience and job description that you are there. The skills are very important and they must be very relevant to the job and the organization that you're applying to. As well, you need to have at least one or two questions to ask during the interview, but those questions must focus on the company's mission and the goal and how you can be able to put your foot forward to support the industry. Create a portfolio with samples of your work that you've done before. Ensure that you have letters of recommendation with you. You have your good file with your resume and materials that demonstrate your abilities to perform the tasks ahead of you. Sometimes you might be required to travel for some short distance or long distances for these interviews. Ensure that before the day of the interview, you are able to have what we call a reconnaissance or a pre-visit to the area or the school that you're going to do that interview from. This will help you so much in terms of surprises, because no interviewer will listen to you when you say that I got late because of traffic or something else. So ensure that you can, if you're able to travel to that school where you're going to conduct that interview from and get to understand the traffic behavior and actually the distance covered so that you're able to manage your time properly. By doing so, you'll have done some good background check and be able to, if you are planning to drive to where you are going, some interviews are conducted within the school compound, some interviews will be conducted in a different place. ensure that you have enough cash in terms of if you need to pay some parking fee or something else to avoid embarrassments. So by that, you'll have conducted a very thorough background check and ready for that interview. Now, during the interview, this I mean, it's when you are going for the interview, that is the day of the interview and the entire period before you get some feedback from your interviewers. Now, make sure when you're going for the interview, at least you look professional and your dress code is appropriate. It's a formal dress code that is not casual. Sometimes they say that you dress for the occasion. And if, for example, you are a PE teacher, it's not a requirement that you need to dress in a PE uniform or a tracksuit because you're a PE teacher. You need to, because you're going for an interview, not the job, ensure that you dress formally and you are a professional. By dressing formally, what do I mean? The dress code for success is very important. If you're a gentleman and you are planning to dress in a suit, if you dress in a suit, ensure that you have a tie, and your suits are cool colors. Do not dress very colors that are not cool. For example, you are in a yellow suit or a red suit or something like that. Ensure that your dress code is cool. Ensure if you want to do a business casual, you are smartly dressed, and do not wear revealing clothes. Do not have extensive jewelry on you. And if you have tattoos, please ensure that you cover them, because they might have a different perception from the other team. If you don't wear hats, don't have earphones, and your clothing should be more professional. And avoid heavy scent body products. You never know who you're meeting in the interview room. Probably one or two people there are allergic to scent or pollen or something else. Ensure that you avoid very heavy scented body products, and you arrive to the interview place quite early, 15 minutes or 30 minutes before the interview. Ensure that you carry your folder that has your portfolio and have a copy of a resume. Sometimes the interviewers might require you to answer a few questions from your resume, and if you're not sure of what you're going to answer, then it might speak otherwise of you. Ensure that you have a copy of your resume and you can be able to refer and answer questions as directed. Demonstrate some enthusiasm and interest by making eye contact. That calls for smiling and a firm handshake whenever you have that. Be courteous to everyone you meet around the interview area. You never know who you're meeting. Probably that person you meet there can be asked to express an opinion about you. Ensure that you are courteous to everyone that is around there. Whenever you ask questions now, ensure that you are straight and your answers are clear and concise with specific examples. Avoid abstract answers that I'm a good team player, I'm a good this and this and this. That is a blanket. Ensure that when you're giving these skills about yourself, they are practical. You have examples that are going to support or substantiate your responses. And mention your accomplishment that you've had, before, and how they're related to the job description that you're applying for, and how you're going to improve on them to ensure that you have quality understanding of your area of expertise. They might inquire about why did you leave your former or your previous school. Ensure that you don't speak negatively about your supervisors or the school. A tip is that maybe if you're in an IGCSE school and you want to hop to an IB school, talk about professional development, that you want to add more to your career by getting this experience, and that one motivated you towards moving from one school to the other. Because some managers are keen to understand why you left your former school. You need to be fully engaged in an interview and this conversation is very important. And so you don't need to put your phone on silent or even put it on vibration, because sometimes when you put your phone on silent, someone calls and the vibration is louder, like a ringtone as well. So ensure that you are fully engaged and your phone is totally off, and you are into the interview fully. Some schools might decide to offer you some breakfast or lunch or something. Unless you're asked to do that, please don't serve yourself, don't eat or drink. And it's courteous to just say probably you'll partake of it probably after the interview. That is courteous. And be honest and sincere with yourself. Answer questions and do not sound robotic, that you rehearsed for a long time. That is during the interview or during the interview process, when you join the interview until when you receive your feedback. Now, after the interview, it's important that you remember to send a thank you note to your interviewers, thanking them for the opportunity they gave you to interview with them. And as well, maybe you can reinforce on some areas that you feel that stood out for you and appreciate their effort. All right, reiterate on your interest and some key points that were discussed in the interview and show your interest in the job. Ensure that whatever you're going to be asked to produce, you produce them in good time. Sometimes the interviewer might require you to produce a letter of recommendation within a specific time. Please ensure that you are there to those requested materials, the transcript and the application and the references in a timely manner. By doing so, you'll have done well after the interview. All right. Now, there are different types of interviews. I earlier said you can be interviewed online or face-to-face. So I'm going to go through a few areas of interest as we go. You can go through an interview through a phone, or we call the phone screening interview. Basically, this is a preliminary or a brief interview to determine if you are eligible to taken forward to the next stage. This is just to make sure that you are ready for it, because you are in a cool place without further or background disruptions. You have good connectivity. You don't have a network that is shaky. Ensure that your background is noise free and you're ahead of time. Make sure that you also have your calendar with you, because they might inquire when are you available for the next for maybe other interviews. So you need to have your calendar with you. You need to have a good network or and a place where you don't have background noise. Make sure that you also sound enthusiastic and discuss how your skills match the needs of the employer. That is under phone or screening interview. In-person interview, this is where now you have one-on-one interview with the employer or representatives within the school, and this might require you to undergo multiple interviews or all-day interview. I remember I had an interview in Nairobi, Kenya, in a place in Karen, and I had to go undergo multiple interviews. In the morning, I was given a written test. After a written test, I was taken to a panel. After the panel, I was taken to a classroom demonstration. So whenever you're going for this in-person interview, you need to plan for your entire day. Do not have any pressing issues or any pressing stuff that you need to do on that day. Make sure that you dedicate the entire day for the interview. By doing so, you'll calm your nerves and be ready to answer questions as you may be asked. There's also we call group interview. This one takes place with other candidates seeking the same job. You realize that an interview was posted and you have maybe 20 people attending the interview. It's not by coincidence or by mistake. The interviewer wants to see how candidates are interacting with each other before the actual interview. Be courteous with everyone and try to find a good balance between getting your points across and dominating the conversation, and practice and Be there for each other. Remember, do not talk about things that are not related to the interview. Whenever you're in a group, you might be tempted to discuss probably politics or discuss a football game or something else. Please do not go that direction for that day. Ensure that you can be able to discuss things that are related to the job description or the interview at large. We also have something called a pre-recorded interview. This is an interview where you don't have any direct interaction with the person that is interviewing you. It's always given in a set of questions and asked to record. This is what I did before I landed my current job. I was sent a video of around 10 minutes, and we had pre-recorded question. This one is a tough one in the sense that the moment you respond to the answer, there's no changing that answer. It goes and it goes to the employer. So you need to be very careful when you are undergoing a pre-recorded interview, and practice and do not sound too robotic when you're answering such questions. Rehearse well, do not rush. Consider attire and background, because it's a video pre-recorded interview. It's a video one that you need to answer. It asks you a question, you answer it back. It records and sends the recording to the employer. So ensure that you dress appropriately, and you don't rush when answering such questions. Don't sound too robotic. We have what we call stress interview. This is an interview that is designed to see how you react under pressure. It's used to fast-paced positions where quick decisions are needed. You are given a whole file, and you're told that you need to analyze the file and give a report. That will put you under pressure. They are not looking at you coming up with the best solution, but they want to see how do you handle stress. How do you calm your nerves whenever you're under pressure? Ensure that you're always calm and you're able to do your job the best way you can. Focus on the way that you solve the problem, not basically the right answer. We also have a case interview where this includes questions that are hypothetical situations used to test your analytical and problem-solving ability. When I was applying for the head of department in my current school, they told me they put me under case interview, and they asked me that you as a head of department, and tell us a scenario whereby you've disagreed with your members of the department due to poor results. How do you handle that? You see, so they want to see how do you analyze a situation. Do you go deeper into finding solutions to the problem? Do you have the problem-solving skills that are required to not to harm people or not to be the boss and step on people, but talk to them and be able to come up with a proper solution that will benefit the entire school? And therefore, these are just types of interviews. They are not exhaustive, but you can be able to do more research on it. And I just gave a few examples for our presentation. Now, types of interview questions and common examples. This one is a long one. There are no specific questions that I'm going to let you understand that this is what you're going to be asked. But I've picked a few that are common. I call them traditional interview. They are so common because most employers want to know how you are, who you are in those questions. And that's why I picked only the 3, but there are numerous that you can be able to do research on and be able to know how to respond to them. Now, the first question that always pops up whenever you are in an interview will be, what do you consider your weaknesses? I want to let you know, or I want us to understand that do not turn a strength into a weakness. Do not turn a strength into a weakness. That is a no-go zone. However, when you ask such a question, ensure that you acknowledge your limitations, and most importantly, explain how you're managing or you're working to improve them. I was asked the same question when I was doing this interview, and I was a bit not sure of what I was supposed to answer, but my response was okay, as I can say, because when I was asked what do I consider my weaknesses, I mentioned that I am a teacher who has numerous ideas flowing in my mind anytime I'm with my children or my students or my learners. And sometimes I have difficulties in putting them together to make a meaningful presentation. I've struggled with this in terms of prioritization, but however, after reading this book called First Things First by Stephen Covey, I've tried to prioritize what is urgent and important, what is important and urgent, what is not urgent and not important, and overcoming the situation. First of all, this interviewer is able to see that you are a reader. You have acknowledged your limitation and you're working towards making sure that you are overcoming such a limitation. By doing so, you'll have answered the point of weaknesses. One thing that you don't need to do, don't mention your personality as your weaknesses, because personalities cannot be changed. It is who you are, but those things that are skill based, they can be able to be learned, and you're able to overcome them. Do not share a weakness that I'm hot tempered. You know, if you say you're hot tempered, that's your personality. We might not change who you are, and that one can be a disadvantage to you on that interview process. Ensure that you can be able to share weaknesses that are skill based, and you can be able to learn and overcome them in the long run. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Employers are attentive to see if you are forward thinking. They want to see if you think that you can have a career progression that is worth going through. And so do not just give just a simple analysis of where you want to see yourself. However, I prefer that you mention that you see yourself working in the same company, but you are in a position that you are dependent upon, and you're in a position of influence that you can be able to take the school or in the institution to the next level. Ensure that, because if you say, I see myself in a different institution after 5 years, then automatically nobody can be able to invest in you in that direction. Ensure that you can mention that you stay in the same institution, but again, you see yourself having improved in your career progression, and you are in a position of influence to take the school to the next level. Tell us about yourself. It's a point that you can be able to debate upon. What do you share or what you not to share? But I believe that when you're asked to tell something about yourself, just mention who you are, your education background, your skills and experiences, and your career goals. If you can intertwine those 4 areas, then you can be able to answer that question. Tell us about yourself. Lastly, or not least, then what are some of the questions that you're going to ask during the interview? Avoid asking about salaries during your interviews. Avoid that, because most of the international schools have salary scales already present, depending on the teacher's experience and education level. So once you receive a contract, then that's the time you can be able to ask for a review if they can accept or not. But the moment you receive a contract and you sign that contract, then you cannot negotiate further. I advise that you don't ask for salary things at that point, but again, wait until you qualify for the job. Once you get the contract, you'll be able to read, and if there's something that you need to inquire about salary increment, or you need to negotiate about it, then that is the right time to negotiate. All right, so these are some of the questions that I just picked that are quite important to ask during the interview. Do not ask like 10, 5, 6 questions. That's too much. Ensure that you have 2 quality questions to ask during the interview. For example, you can ask, how does your institution define and promote diversity? Remember, an international school is a school that brings on board various cultures, various people from different parts of the world. For instance, so in my school, we are like 25 nationalities, people with different cultures, different behaviors, So you need to be aware where you're going into. It's not what you're used to. You're going to meet new people, new cultures, new friends. You're going to meet new managers and everything else that is new to you. Ensure that you can be able to understand the diversity and how the school promotes that, so that you're not found on the wrong side of history. Number two, you can also ask about how does the company promote professional growth. Remember, this is very important because at the end of the day, no one wants to be stagnated in where they are or in the position they are just going to get. People are looking at improving their educational background. People are looking at improving their career goals. And so it's important to understand if the company promotes professional growth and you are able to participate and be a beneficiary of those professional growth. By doing so, they can be able to enlighten you on what they do to promote that professional growth for the overall growth of yourself and other people working within the company. All right, so that is basically how you can be able to prepare yourself for an interview and be ready to conquer the world through answering and getting all those questions right, and as well get that dream job that you've been dreaming of, and be ready to educate the world in your capacity or in your subject level. I thank you all for listening to me, and I take this back to Mohati for Q&A.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Eliud, for that wonderful sharing that you've shared with us. It's good that you've actually told us a lot of things about interviews. How do we prepare? One of my biggest takeaways is, I mean, I never knew something about having to do a reconnaissance, get to understand where is the school. I think this is actually part of the whole concept of doing a background check, which is actually very important. And part of the background check would mean even getting to know where is the school. Maybe if you were given time enough, maybe four days before, you can actually make a visit to the school and get to see where is it and a few things about the school. But likely most of that information you'll always find on the websites of most of those schools. So it's important to always do a background check. And that is the only way you'll get most of your questions about the school, the vision of the school, the philosophy of the school, and the culture of the school is actually part of the things that they would actually want to hear. The panelists would want to hear, from you. Do you, in terms of your philosophy, because Tony told us something about constructing a personal statement and a philosophy as an educator. Throughout the interview process, you'll basically be selling out a brand. And in this case, this comes out in terms of your philosophy. In all your statements, in your attitudes and your line of thinking, there's a common thread that cuts through. And this is what constructs your philosophy as an educator. All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, I'd want now to welcome Dolphin, because throughout we've been listening to the voices of gentlemen. And I think in the spirit of ensuring gender inclusivity, it's now the moment for us to welcome a lady. She's a Kenyan educator working in, she'll be able to share that herself. Let's hear the perspective of a lady. How is it like, Dolphin? Welcome, Dolphin. It's your moment. Looks like your image, your camera is not very clear. I don't know what the problem could be.
So you can't see me. Okay, it's okay. Can you hear me though?
Yes, loud and clear, Dolphin.
Perfect. So my name is Dolphin. I'm a homeroom teacher in Kazakhstan, and I was invited to share my experience. And after listening to the whole presentation, I think it would be nice to share my journey of patience to where I am. Like, you might do all of that, like get your CV ready, get the right sites, do the interviews, but you might find that it's taking a little bit longer for you to get the job. And I thought to just share my experience on how I got myself here, where I am right now. So I've interacted with some of you. I have a YouTube channel called Ducky World, and I know some of you have watched my videos, which are mostly aimed to help teachers, specifically in Kenya. That's where I started to get into international schools. So mine has been a journey of patience and a lot of patience. I started off as a teaching assistant. And I remember when I got this job, I was looking for a volunteer job. I applied to a school, Breba Nanyuki, to become a volunteer because there was no job coming forth. So I figured I'd try to volunteer, and God works in his way. So I got a job in the process of my application. So when I got there, they told me, we don't do volunteers, but we would love to have you as a teaching assistant. So I still got to learn like I wanted to. I still got to get into the international schools like I wanted to. So from there, I wanted more. I started wanting to become bigger, as in to get better and better in the school. Teaching assistants is pretty much you're working with another teacher and another teacher, so you're helping the teacher. And my goal was to become the class teacher, like my teacher back then. And I remember I moved from Braeburn to Kenton, where I was still a teaching assistant, but Kenton gave me a bit more because by the time I was leaving, I had become a subject teacher. And through persistence, by the way, a lot of persistence, a lot of applying, you'll be called for interviews, you will go, nothing comes through. You will apply for jobs and no one will reach out. It does not mean that you get to give up. It means that you keep applying. It means that it's time for you to apply for more jobs. Diversify your search. I mean, Bill has shared so many websites that you can use. Please make sure you log into all of those. Some have worked for different people. Like mine, I got here through TeacherWay. I think I've shared that in the channel. And I've shared a detailed video on how you can get your profile ready in TeacherWay as well. And Bill has shared so many sites that you can use. Don't just settle for one. I would say try and apply through as many of those sites as you can. Keep the applications going, attend the interviews. If it doesn't work, please keep applying, because eventually something will come through. Yeah, so I don't think I have a lot more to say. I was given only 5 minutes and I have planned my lesson so well. Muhati, I think that's about it. It's a story of patience. Keep applying. Find your way in. It does not have to be as in the highest position. Just find a gap in. Teaching assistant is a good place to start if you have no experience in international schools, because finding a class teacher might be a little tricky. A job in Kenya might be an easy place to start, but if you're lucky, you might get your first job outside the country. So Muhati, I think that's it from me. Just a snippet of my experience and my story of patience. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dolphin. Thumbs up for you for sharing a bit of your journey. We would have wanted to hear more about the whole experience, but we are limited with time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd want now to welcome everyone to open the floor for question and answers. Any of the members of the panel can answer any of the questions. If there's anyone in the room who would want to respond to any of the questions, because I know there are quite a number of people here who have also, who are also international educators working abroad in Kenya and of course abroad, and they would want to share. This is very interactive and we are very much flexible to welcome that. So feel free to put up your hands. I mean, there's a tab there where you can actually say I'm raising my hand. We'll start with Violet, and the rest, if you feel you are happy, you can still type comments in the chat section. I'll be able to read your questions. Let me start with I think there are quite a number of people raising hands here. They got lost. I can't see that. I'll start with Francis. Francis, please ask a question. Francis Onyinkwa.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Muhati, for this chance. I would like to ask a question, of course, not on the area that has been addressed by the speakers. I'll want to know on the times when, and rather where I can get the links for these professional development courses, because we are in this other system, these other 844 system and the CBC, and we really want to come to this IGCSE and IB. So which are the best, probably the timings of the times in terms of the year, and rather the right links to follow? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank, for that question. Any of the members of the panel, or any member from the participants? The floor is actually very much open to anyone.
A quick one, Muhati, before we respond to those questions. I wish
Okay.
if you can get maybe 3 or 4 questions so that we can be able to answer them at once. That would be fine.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Francis, the question is noted. At this point, I'd want to take a question from Daniel Tulula. Once your question is answered, kindly lower your hand, because on my screen, I'm not able to navigate around with you. There's so many things here, and I'm not able to see who is raising the hand, who is not. So just lower your hand so that I'm able to see just the next available person. Daniel?
Thank you so much for the session. It's been very, very helpful, especially for us job seekers. Now, my question was on the ATS approved CV. I remember Tony mentioned that everything you write, like the roles you are partaking in the previous station, should be in the past tense. I was trying to, I just wanted to ask, what about the current station I'm working in? Should it also be in past tense, or it should be present continuous tense? I don't know. That is the question. And number 2, once I come up with this, maybe I go ahead and revamp my CV. Is there a way? Is there maybe a website where we can check if our CVs currently are ATS approved? Thank you.
I will take one more question before I can allow the panelists to respond to the questions. One more. Kindly, Daniel, lower your hand so that I'm able to know who else is actually having their hands up. Joel Kahindi, I think you needed to make me an admin so that I can be able to see the list of the people and the list of the participants. If you're here, Joel, our IT coordinator. Maurice, please ask a question.
Hello, thank you so much, Mr. Muhati. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so my question is concerning the issue of salary. You see, there are some schools that normally ask, like, what do you expect us maybe to pay you, such like this. And being that we've been told that we should not go, like, we should not ask the salary, we should not go the salary way, like maybe saying what you want and all that. So how do you go about that question, being that you might mention something that maybe will be, you can be given even less than what they normally give in that particular institution. So how do you go about that? Maybe that maybe you don't know actually their scale. That's my question.
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, Maurice. Thank you so much. All right, now we have 3 questions here. The first one asked by Francis. The next one was asked by Maurice. I've forgotten the other name, the gentleman. That was Daniel. All right, so I'll welcome Mauti Eliud to respond to any of the questions, and welcome the next speaker who will also respond to any of the questions in no particular order.
Thank you, Muhati. Allow me to respond to Maurice, because I'm the one who mentioned about salary expectations. As I said, most of the international schools have a salary scale, so you don't have to worry about it. You can only worry about negotiating it once you get the contract. However, you might be asked the same question in a panel. What is your expectation? Then at this point in time, avoid quoting your expectation, because you might quote too much or too low, and that can give you a disadvantage. I think the best is to throw the ball to them. Ask them that as from where I sit, I'm not aware of this job description in terms of salary scale. Could you maybe enlighten me on what this job description the offer is. They might be reluctant to tell you, but if they insist that you mention a salary scale, please mention a wide range so that you are not found on the wrong side. For example, you can mention $1,000 and $5,000. By doing so, you've put them in a position where they have to tell you what they can offer. Then from there, you can be able to negotiate. So avoid just quoting an exact amount that you're expecting because it might throw you off balance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eliud, for sharing that. What was the next question? Francis, would you mind to just remind me what your question was? I was trying to record this and I think I've lost it somewhere. Bill, you're ready with that?
Yes. Allow me to respond to his question. He asked about when and where can we get links for professional development courses. Allow me to start with the when. From experience, if you check the IB website, the professional development site, if you check the IB, the Edexcel, including Cambridge, you'll realize that most of these organizations do professional development courses throughout the year. Some will be virtual, so you have to be updated through their website. That is now aware. You have to check their website regularly and find out, maybe I have this amount of money if you are paying for yourself and the school is not supporting you, or I want to budget money for maybe a training that is happening in January next year. So you check, like right now, you can check and find out when is that professional development course happening and how am I going to go about it. So about the when, it's throughout the year. It could be virtual, it could be online, it could be online self-paced, or it could also be face-to-face. Recently, we had a face-to-face training based on different subjects at Brookhouse, Kenya. So it's all about you or we as educators going to the website, finding out when are they offered, and according to your budget, if the school is also paying for you, you can alert your principal or your HR that you're interested on a specific course that is being offered, maybe online or virtually or face-to-face, so that you plan ahead. So where? Look at those websites, the Cambridge CAIE website, the IB website, the Edexcel website, among many other bodies that offer different curriculum. I hope I've answered your question, the when and where. As long as you have your mobile phone, you have your laptop, always go for this information online. We also post them in our WhatsApp platform, so you can also request for such links there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bill Gareso, for that response. Here's a very important question from Daniel Kazungu, who is in Mombasa, and I think Tony, yes, please.
Yeah, I think there was a question about the CV, the past tense, and yeah. Anyway, go ahead with Daniel Kazungu's question first, then I can combine both.
All right, Tony. Daniel is asking about, do I need to have a degree in teaching to get a job in an international school? That's a very important question, because the teachers with P1 and diploma here, and such questions, those are some of the concerns that they're having now that we are talking about international education and opportunities in international schools.
Okay, so let me begin by answering the question about the past tense in the CV. The whole idea, the CV presents your achievement. It presents your accomplishments, where you are. So even if you're in that school, there is something you've already accomplished. And I mean, those are nuggets I get from a site that I've shared. I've shared a site there called Resume Awarded. This one is a site which we had been asked, where can I check if my CV actually meets the ATS compliance? So you can always go through Resume Awarded. It's free, by the way. You can key in your CV and it can actually be able to score it. on the basis of the ATS. So you are able to score your CV and you see, are you meeting the requirement of 70% at least compliance? 70 to actually it's usually 80, but at anything above 70 is always a good thing. So you can always, anyone can always go in there and use it to check their CV. Now for the past tense, we maintain past tense in all those bullet points. Yeah, because you have already accomplished something where you are. On the issue of whether people who don't have the first degree as teachers, I will say that not having a first degree as a teacher requires you to kind of have some upgrading of some sort so that you can do a PGDE. It's called PGDE or something, I think, in the Kenyan institutions. And if you're able to do a PGCI, I think Mohati knows that, and Dolphin, then you should be able to get employment in international schools. So it's more like you need to add something that is education related onto your CV for you to get those international teaching jobs. A quick one here, I'm also responding to, I think this one is, what if one answer that has strength is God? I think the answer will be, please align it to the teaching profession, align it to your skills. What they're looking for is your skills, your strengths in terms of how you're able to deliver in the class and to the students. And lastly, there's a question here by Tobias. He says, aligning someone's experience to the job specification is quite involving. Is there advice on the best practices to best tailor our resumes to the jobs we apply to? I usually say that every time you're applying for a job, you always need to check the job description, check what they are required. And your CV should not be, this document that has been there since 2 years ago and is the same thing. Every time you apply for a job, you need to go back to your CV, check and see, do I have what is needed in the requirements? You always keep updating your CV as per what is required. I've also shared the question about the professional development. I've shared some links there to IB professional development. I've shared links to the Cambridge, and I've also shared a link to the Nottingham PGCI that you guys can also look at. And also Educare. Thank you, Mohati. Back to you.
Mohati, sorry, just may I also add something to Tony's answer on whether you need a degree? I'd say I have worked in schools where cleaners were promoted to teaching assistants and eventually they became teachers. I advise people to find a way in. With your degree, with your P1, just find a way into an international school. When you're there, prove that you can work with children and you might work your way up. At the moment, like from my previous school, by the time I was leaving, they were so much into having teachers and teaching assistants with degree qualifications. But like I said, we had teachers in the same school who started off as TAs with just KHA. It's still a teacher's qualification certificate. I don't know if it's a certificate or diploma. With just a KHA, we still had teachers who had bachelors in science and stuff. So it's just find your way into the international school and then prove to them that you can actually teach whatever means possible. And you just never know, you might get yourself there. So yes, if you have a bachelor's of education, it puts you in a very good position. If you have any other qualification, but you want to get yourself in, just find your way in. There's also the PGCI. You don't have to have it to be a teacher in an international school. You don't have to have a PGCI. With your Bachelor of Education, you can get in. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dolphin and Tony, for answering the questions. I have three questions here. One from, let me start with Angie, then I'll come to Violet, and finally Gift, in that order.
One, before you go to that question, Mohati, probably if you can be able to allow Nakitare to share his experience about the PD websites, then you can pick up other question in a minute or so.
Yes, I was trying to find Nakitare. I'm not, because I couldn't. I was not sure whether he's online because I was trying to reach him out. He's far away in Colombia. Sami, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
All right. Good. I don't know. Good morning, wherever you are. Okay. Well, I'd just like to probably just add a little bit to what was said about the well, the question about training and professional development websites, yeah. And I appreciate the answer that was actually given by Bill, because it was kind of very enlightening in terms of where you'd be able to access professional development courses, which are actually very important because doing a lot of them gives you some sort of awareness around standards and practices that are needed for international education. And some of these things are basically things that we'd actually know, that we actually have in our practice, in our daily lives, in our schools. But if you're looking towards making a move to international education, then you probably find that you lack ways to express them, simply because there are also things that international schools are also are looking for. So maybe some recommendations that I could add to that is, and I've seen that Tony has actually shared a website, Educare, Test Educare on the chat area, which is actually very, very helpful. Something that I'd like to add to that is this website called Future Learn. Future Learn. It's Future Learn. You can just Google it and you'll find it. And the thing with this website is it's kind of very helpful because you have universities around the world that put professional development courses there, and most of them are actually free. You can access them for free, of course. But if you need a certificate, then you have to pay. But if you don't need a certificate, then you can just take a course of your choice. You know, it could be leveraging technology in learning, child protection and safeguarding, differentiation in teaching. I mean, different courses are posted at different times of the year. All you just have to do is go to the website and check, and then register for one that you'd like to take. And most of these courses align with international teaching practices, and you don't have to pay to get a certificate. But the most important thing is the learning. And most of the time, if you have gone through that course, you can actually put it somewhere in your CV. And during interviews, you can actually reference some learning that you get from them, and they might give you some leverage when you are kind of talking about international school practices. So that's just something that I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sami. We do appreciate your contribution. Now, there are some questions. Let me get back to. Okay, I'd say that we'll start with Angie. Angie, are you here? May I request Daniel Kazungu to kindly just mute your camera? Angie, please take the stage.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Greetings to you all. You've actually encouraged us by saying that the whole process is actually the process of patience, determination. But I also trust that we need to wait in the right manner with a positive attitude, definitely. So could you just get clear with what is this that we need to be doing while waiting? Because it's not guaranteed when these jobs can come. It can take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Apart from branding oneself, apart from applying for jobs, could you just give us a list of what needs to be done while waiting? Otherwise, it might get so much frustrating, and along the way, some of us might give up and so on. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Violet, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I really didn't have a question, but before I make a comment, I would just like to thank all the panelists for this informative session. And even for us who have many years of experience, we get to learn, because learning, teachers are learners every single day. I just wanted to add on Daffy's experience, when you asked her about her experience. When teachers are moving from Kenya to abroad, it's not just about integrating, but they also have to be ready. They have to be psychologically prepared with the culture shock, xenophobia, discrimination, and the weather. So all these things help someone to be really, really, well prepared to integrate themselves into the system, because there are people who cannot handle discrimination. So you have to get strategies on how you can handle such discriminations. Some discriminations aspects don't come out directly, but you will notice them within the staff. So that is just one of the comments, and the rest of the people. Thank you so much. Tony, I would like to have a session with you. I heard you mention about paying. I think I'm ready for the career coach. I have many years of experience, but I want to learn more. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Violet, for that contribution. Indeed, I agree with you on the issue to do with being mentally prepared for what things that you should expect, and some will get you by surprise. When you look at the boy speaking on the screen, it's very dark, very black with kinky hair. That's a fact. I mean, for the first time I came to notice my color means something, and it's just a whole conversation which we can have separately on a different day. But take that in mind. All right. Maybe the third question. Yep.
Violet raises a very important thing that I wanted to speak about at the end of this conversation. That is not just a matter of moving. Even, as close as I've worked in Ethiopia, and I remember we could walk the street and an Ethiopian who is an African, actually, I'm not discriminating, but then somebody will actually say, hey, ugly black, then you wonder like, so when you talk about discrimination, it happens everywhere. Don't think about even going beyond the continent. But then how are you going to handle it? And the other thing is, how do you handle students from different backgrounds and different belief systems and all that? So it's very important that people also get prepared for that. But I think maybe Muhatu can also organize a session for that another time, then we can have a whole conversation around that. Yeah, great. Thanks.
Yes, it is. Issues of culture shock and discrimination and all that, there's a way we can always play around it and do a session to just being aware of all these things as you also prepare to get out of your country. Remember you're going away from home, away from home, where is your mother or your parent or your friends are not there. So you're going to meet a very strange world out there. All right. I think there's a question. We've gotten a question from Angie. She was asking about what do you do while what patience is all about. That is the whole question she's asking about. So what do you do during the whole time of waiting? And I think this is a question she's redirecting back to Dolphin. Dolphin, please take note of that. In the meantime, as I ask Roy to ask his question, I think it is his.
Thank you for this opportunity. Actually, it's good work from the side of panelists organizing this for free. It's a very good thing to do. Thank you for being kind. I wanted to respond to that question of what you do when you're waiting for an opportunity, but maybe Daphne will do a better job there. I just want to share my side if I'm allowed to. Wherever you are, be it a BOM job, be it a TSC job, wherever you are, a private school, just do your best as you apply for jobs, attend interviews, and one day you'll get lucky. So you do not leave your job just to look for an international opportunity. Do the best wherever you are. I've risen quite fast, starting from a BOM job, working for 2 years, working in a private school for 1 year. Now I'm at international school in Kenya. So just do whatever you're doing, wherever you are, give it your best from your heart and apply for jobs. An opportunity will come. Thank you. Shout out to Bill, my mentor.
Thank you so much, Roy. Thank you very much, Roy. And I think the whole thing is, and I think this is pretty much what that Dolphin will also share, because that's a question that was directed almost directly to her. It's about positioning yourself as you wait. I mean, you don't just wait and do nothing. There are just a lot of things that you actually need to do. Do a lot of professional development, and much has been shared in terms of the professional development. The job will not actually come to you. It comes to those who look for it.
which of the, we've shared a number of the list is not exhaustive. The different sites where you can get to learn about an existing opportunity. Learn about it, research, what are the requirements? What do you do in order to be one of the best candidates to be considered in a pool of almost 1,000, hundreds of thousands of applicants you are competing with? What is it that will make you stand out? It's an issue of positioning yourself, create networks. And then there are just a lot of professional communities of educators out there. And it is through such communities that you'll get to know of different opportunities for learning, different opportunities for jobs, different opportunities for professional development, and all that exists in the space out there. So it's one thing to say, I'm waiting, and you're just seated there, you're very comfortable. The world out there is very brutal, and it's a game of, survival for the fittest. And that is almost like the realist theory, how it will explain that. So let me ask Gift to ask a question. Gift, could you please ask a question? Because so far now it means there are two questions, one from Angie, which Dolphin will respond to, and then one from Gift.
Okay, good afternoon, colleagues and the panel. I'm in Kenya, Nairobi, and I have a question. First of all, I have done degree in primary education, and I was recently, my interest in teaching in international schools had really grown. So I was wondering, in these international schools, with my degree in primary education, where will I fit exactly so that I can start researching on those areas, as also I'm preparing myself to do the professional development courses? Where should I, those areas that I can fit well? I do understand that it is the equivalent of the primary school section. So I really want to know those areas that I can fit well. Then secondly, it's about, I've heard you talking about the WhatsApp group, where I think you're sharing more ideas, more information, and also possibly job opportunities in the same WhatsApp group. I would really want to join. So if you would share the WhatsApp group link to me, or you can just channel it to, yeah, so that I can get the link. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Gift. If you're able to look at the charts, we have I've said, you can follow us on the LinkedIn. There's a LinkedIn page I've shared. We have a Facebook page. There's a WhatsApp channel for updates, especially on what is happening, our program that we run and all that. And there's a WhatsApp community, which I've also shared a link where you can join. Kindly follow all of those channels, and you can also join the community. And it is voluntary to join or follow all that. Perfect. Now, Dolphin, you can respond to the first question. In the meantime, either Bill, Tony, or Eliud can respond to the other questions that Gift was asking.
Okay, so what do you do while you're waiting? I will just echo what you said, Muhati. It's better yourself. Position yourself for that job that you want. Take courses, short courses. You don't have to pay for the very expensive one. Take short ones. Get to understand what exactly you want to get into. Sami mentioned that these courses really help you understand these curriculums. From 844 into international school, what is expected of you there? Take these courses, just do them while you're waiting. I'll also say volunteer. I say this and people say, I mean, especially Kenyans, we cannot work for free. But trust me, it builds on your experience. It does come in handy when you show that I volunteered for a term in a school. It puts you in a better position than someone who has never been in a school before. So if you have a school to volunteer, just find it, get in there and volunteer. And then work with children. I remember my first job, applying for my first job as a teacher. The only experience I had working with children was teaching Sunday school. And that was experience I actually added on my CV, that, yeah, this is the only interaction I've had with children and how it went. I mean, if you want to work with children like I did, put yourself out there, go volunteer, go work with children in different capacities, interact with children in different environments. I mean, I'm talking about children here for those who want to go and work with primary school children. If you're in high school, also find a way in, find a way you can get inside a high school and have an advantage over someone else who's never been in a school. I would ask you, like, find something that puts you in a better position than someone who is in a similar circumstance as you. So just use this opportunity to apply for jobs and build yourself. Don't just sit and wait, but work on yourself. Whether it's courses, volunteer, or just find something to do related to whatever you want to, whatever sector of international school you want to get into. And anyone else with more views on this, please share as well. Thank you.
Can I just add to what Dolphin has said, yeah, in relation to what can be done? And I think it's
Yes,
actually
please.
very insightful. Dolphin, what you said about teaching Sunday school, it's quite very interesting, because I was actually thinking along those lines, and thinking about my very first interview in an international school. And one of the things I actually talked about was an experience that I got while working at a supermarket as a shelf attendant. And I basically used that to brand myself and talk about how this could be a very interesting experience that that gave me some really powerful learning in terms of business innovation and branding. And it's an idea that I would actually like to use to mentor students in terms of innovation. So what I'd actually maybe say, or rather advise, is if for example anyone is not attached to any particular, say, school, there are lots of other things that you can actually do in different careers. But the most important thing is you think about how those experiences you get there could be morphed into experiences that are suitable for learners and international schools. For example, I was just recently having a conversation with someone who just got actually a job at Nairobi Academy, and what I was actually telling her is, you've actually worked as a chef in this Giagiamello pizza place and things like that. But when you look at that school website, then you realize that there's a cookery club. And that is actually something that you kind of morph into something that would suit that school and an experience that you'd share with the students. So do not shy away from doing any other things, simply because, of course, one needs to have something to keep them going. You can be working in a restaurant, you could be working in a supermarket, you can volunteer for community services. It could be like some cleanup exercise, something, community service that you have just volunteered in. It could be visiting children's homes, something that you are basically doing and you're engaging in. Some of them could be earning you some income, some of them may not. But the idea is all of them are setting you up to things that you could actually share out there with international schools. And they could act, because international schools, for example, would be looking for maybe teachers who have some experience in service learning, teachers who have some experience in modeling students to interact with the world out there. And you think about you volunteering in community-based projects and how that can be handy when you are basically explaining what you offer to the school. And those are things that could be added to your CV and also could be presented during interviews. And for those of us who are already teachers and would like to familiarize a lot more with international teaching practices, something that I found quite beneficial some time back, I was working in a tuition center in Nairobi. There are also lots and lots of tuition centers in areas like Lavington and Karen. And if any of you has some time, I noticed and learned while there that lots of them would actually value having new teachers, would actually value having teachers who do not have very they don't have so much experience, simply because, yeah, it comes with some sort of low payment, maybe, so that the tuition center the owners can make a lot more money. But it also comes in really handy in giving you some experience about pedagogical practices in international education. It may also be a time when you work to just familiarize with the curriculum contents. If you go online, for example, to the CAIE website, the IB websites, for example, things that Excel websites, some things that you'd actually find are subject-specific curriculums. While you wait, it would also be very important to kind of just have a look at them, know what, for example, business studies would look like in IGCSE and what it would look like in IB, because one risk that people find themselves in is, yes, you've gotten a job, you've been invited for an interview in about a day or two, and then that is when you want to start going through everything. And by the time you are sitting for that interview, you're kind of very tensed up because you're trying to think about how you'll recollect all these things. You did not have time to go through them. So that could be an opportunity while you wait for you to kind of just familiarize with this curriculum content. And finally, there are lots of social media pages. If you go to Facebook, you can do, for example, teachers, IGCSE geography teachers, or IB English language and literature teachers. There are lots of social media groups that are communities of practice. And if you join those groups as well while you wait, it's a very nice way to learn about the curriculums. It's a nice way to interact with the community of teachers, as well as see some specific subject-related professional development opportunities that are actually shared in those websites that could be of help to you. Thank you very much.
That's very powerful. Thank you so much, Sami Nakitare. We would want to have you in a future session as a speaker. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the home stretch of the session. We highly appreciate your participation and your patience throughout the session. We had intended to have this session run for at most 1 hour 30 minutes, but looking at the condition of the situation, it was not possible to accommodate all that within 1 hour 30 minutes. But that said, we appreciate your patience greatly. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd want to welcome a volunteer. Let me just maybe Charles Sitonik, because that's the name I can see here directly on this on the screen. If you can give us a vote of thanks, and then we can wind up this session. In the meantime, feel free to follow our the WhatsApp channel and the other Facebook and LinkedIn channels. You can also join the community, which I've also already shared the link to that. Charles, if you're here, please give us a vote of thanks.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Are you still there, Charles?
Oh, I think I'm in a bit of a noisy place. I don't know whether I'll manage to give out the vote of thanks.
We can
Hello?
actually hear you very clearly.
Oh, you can hear me very clearly?
Yes.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I didn't take through the whole session. I was a bit busy, so I could join, then leave at some point. But I have learned a lot personally, and I know the session for today will be in also for another day, and will benefit a lot with the experts and also those people with the relevant experience. So personally, I want to say thank you to all speakers, and I know if anybody else was given a chance, he would say the same, because this session was more intense, and we can really say thank you for that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Charles. And for gender balance, then may I request a lady to also give us a vote of thanks, just a random. I can't see any ladies names here on the screen at the moment. Ladies, please take the risk.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, nice. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Susan Kisingani. I'm a math physics teacher, and I would like to give a vote of thanks to the panel for at least providing a clear view of what is expected, and also to somebody like me. I've always been dreaming to go into international school, and recently I've joined one. And I'm getting a new experience comparing to 844 and also comparing to the international system, the curriculum system. And I feel such sessions really do help and give a clear or provide you some concept on how to carry yourselves in an international school. And also with those people who are dreaming to go outside Kenya, they can also get so much information from such meetings. And also like to request, you can also give some experiences in this international school and how you deal with some kind of, what are they called? Let's say, how do you conduct yourself when something is happening in a
Susan, are you still talking or you're done? I must have missed something somewhere.
I think we lost her.
I think we lost her. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your participation, and thank you so much to the speakers who've dedicated their time to prepare and research and just give us the best that they're able to give as of now. Just as a word of caution, whatever we have shared is not everything. Maybe it's just between 15 to 20% of what you should know. So that then means is that as a teacher, you're always the learner, the first learner. So that means the 80% that we have not been able to share out is now what you can go out there and find out. There's a lot to learn out there on the internet and any other platforms that you're able to access information. We wish you the very best in your search, and we would always want to hear from you as we continue to help one another to grow and to learn. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, I want also to give a special thank you to the Educators Network for agreeing to host this, and of course, with great partnership and support from STEM Labs Africa. Thank you so much. Feel free to go home now. Guests can leave. You can leave at your pleasure. Thank you.
We are home. Yeah.
Yeah.